All right. Hope everyone's having a nice weekend. It's been a few weeks since I've done a video. I was traveling last weekend, and so I'm pretty excited to kind of get back into it and just kind of share what I'm seeing with Bitcoin. On the high time frame, we're going to start, and then we'll do some low time frame speculation. I'm going to look at the miners, specifically CleanSpark and Mara, as well as their pairs against Bitcoin, and then we'll round it out with MicroStrategy. First off, remember, I'm not a financial advisor. Don't take anything I'm saying here as financial advice. Nobody knows what's going to happen in markets, including me. I'm just providing what I see in terms of what I think the highest probabilities are, but the market will decide, and we will look back on this and see whether we were close or not. And so first and foremost, I'm starting off with the weekly chart of Bitcoin. And folks, this is just wildly bullish. I mean, at the end of the day, we've been tracking this count. I've been doing these videos since the summer, and I've been tracking this count even earlier than that. I started posting this count on Twitter in, I think, that range right there. My claim being that the FTX lows were a corrective wave 4. And so far, as we've worked our way out of it, the count is following fairly close to what you'd expect from a Elliott wave or movement perspective, in the context of the grander movement, in my speculation that we are still in this current cycle that began in December 2018, consisted of one big push, right? One mini parabola, impulse, whatever you want to call it, then a correction to a third big impulse push, a correction where it made an all-time high. That's called an expanded flat correction, into it's all over new bear market, FTX low, marking this 4, and now we are in the midst of this 5. Okay, and so if we're looking at it through that lens, what we did a couple of weeks ago was very, very important. Very important. As I recall, did I do the last video prior to this breaking out or not? I can't remember. But I believe one of the last videos that I did in challenging myself, challenging my own kind of thesis here, was that we were at a very key inflection point, right? I was claiming that I was wrong with this count. If we just kept getting this, even just a sideways, I said another little flush down would work, but it would be, you would need a fairly substantial V-shaped type of recovery. And the reason that is what I sought to explain in that video was, as we get further along, in this count, one would expect, if the count is valid, these moves to get steeper and shorter in time. Okay. And at a key inflection point in what's technically the most powerful wave, which is this wave 3, this sub-wave 3 of the primary 5th wave, that's the steepest and most aggressive wave. And so for the character of that wave to hold up, there wasn't a lot of room where we were for, sideways, big correction, and moving back up. There just wasn't. And that was one of the ways I was kind of challenging my own count. And so we saw what I was expecting to see there, which is a breakout of this minor. We had a 1, 2, 3, 4 minor 4 breakout into What I'm claiming is here is a bit of an extended minor fifth into subwave 3. And that's what I believe we're in right now, which again, technically should be the most powerful. And where's the evidence to back this up? Well, within the context of this, what I'm claiming is the existing cycle. Let's take a look at the third impulse to see if it provides any type of clues as to the severity, the degree at which this minor fifth of subwave 3 acted back then. And that's no guarantee about how it's going to act today, but just to provide some clues. And we see this is the area I'm talking about, folks. This is the area I'm talking about. When I say this 3, this subwave 3 is the most powerful. This subwave 3 is the most powerful. That this is the area I'm referring to. And within the subwave 3, the two very powerful legs are the minor 2 to 3, and then the minor 4 to 5. And so if we're to look at, I mean, let's just look at it. Let's look at the price action from that minor 4 to 5. That was 134% move in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. Okay. And so where would that put us off the lows? That could put us $88,000, $89,000 range. Now my fifth is a little bit more extended, but anything between 80 and 115 is kind of my projection for this 3. Don't get too caught up in these targets. And I will also say something about high-end targets, and I think I've said it before. And again, I'm not a financial advisor, but just thinking about the way that I take profits for myself, I am not waiting for the potential of this target being hit, because that's not a guarantee. No one knows where this is going to finish, and I'm just making an educated guess based on symmetry, based on angles, based on history, based on what I see, based on where I think we are within the context of the Bitcoin cycle, based on what equities are doing. They're going into price discovery. We're seeing price discovery and parabolas in, NVIDIA, SMCI, Meta. And so we're in an environment where that's happening. It's already been happening. Okay. And so, but that's not to say that I'm going to be right with these high-end targets. I mean, the highest end target I have is 265. Median target for the high end of this fifth is about 165. But I most certainly will not be waiting to take profits on any derivatives, any miners, any Bitcoin-related stocks. I won't be waiting for that area. For me, the profit taking. Well, let me just put it this way: in general, according to Elliott wave principles, the profit taking leg is this 3. Okay, that 3, which again, anywhere from previous all-time high to 115, 120. So I'm just going to leave that there. I'm going to leave that there because I think that's important. Now let's now that we've kind of looked at the weekly, and for my analysis, we're in the midst of, at the beginning of, the most powerful portion of this rally is in front of us and could happen very quickly. Now let's kind of speculate on what's going on the low time frame. And I've redrawn this count slightly. And this is a daily chart, right? And we're zoomed in. Remember, this is the 3-4 that I claim that we're coming out of, and I've gotten this drawn as a little bit of a megaphone pattern here. We're consolidating above it, kind of fell back in onto the underside of it, and I think and I've posted a couple low time frame counts on my X feed, but I think I've had to reevaluate where I think we made this this subwave 1, and we're in the midst of completing 2 prior to our move to 3 here. And so what does that mean? Well, let's kind of dive into the 4-hour. What does that mean for what's next? I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen next. I thought we were in the midst of completing A, B, C here. When was it? Was it last weekend? Where were we? Yeah, it was last weekend where I think we broke back above this green box I've been kind of tracking, and let's go, but no, fake out, and then another little bit of a fake out. And so this correction wasn't complete, which makes more sense to me in the context that this was a completed one, and whether this B, the C is in or not remains to be seen. There isn't evidence that it's complete yet. What's the evidence that would suggest that it's complete? Well, let's look at it. Let's look at it. Because as of right now, this is just another lower high, right? We just got a lower high here. Let me take a look at where the volume has been transacting the most. It's interesting, isn't it? I've got the volume relative to price, and this red line I've got here is the kind of the point of control. That's where the greatest number of transactions have occurred at a price, and that price right now is 51,889. And so for me to say this correction is, the highest probability of it being decisively over, I'd like to see just a reclaim of this in an impulsive move out. Okay. And so for right now, we're still in, A, B, potentially C. C could even go lower. And and why could it go lower? Well, if this is a 1-2 correction, let me get rid of this. A really common retracement level would be the 618,782, and let's just see where we are relative to the origin of the impulse. And so we're coming back down to C here and just saying, all right, let's take a look at that. So a 786 retracement would bring you to 49, and that's a shallow 2. Folks, that's a shallow 2. You see 2s go down to the 618. So even a 47,403 would not be uncommon in the context of a shallow dip in a massive uptrend. And where's the evidence of that? Well, let's go. Let me show you an example. Let's just go back to what the area I've been comparing a lot to, right? I've been comparing a lot to this area here back in 2020, 2021. And so here's kind of my claim, I guess. Like my claim right now is we're somewhere in that area, right? Coming out of this, and folks that are just joining, or watching my videos for the first time, I make long ones, so hunker down. So this was a very similar area, 3, 4, and then you had a sub 1, 2. And so let's just take a look at what that retraced, how that retraced from the C, right? I mean, look at that. You had a 786 and almost wicked into the 618, a 1-2 prior to this just monster move. And so again, folks, this is just to more emphasize how normal it is to get dips in bull markets, in early stage expansion bull markets. Now, if we go down to the A, we can see the 786. You didn't have a candle. You didn't have the candle body close before the 786. So anything in that 786, 618 range is absolute game. Normal. Normal in the confines of an impulse. So that's where we are. That's where we are. And so just as a reminder, even if I go to A here, because this was more of an expanded flat, right? C breached A, whereas the running flat I just shared with you, C was higher than A. So, you know, even in a situation here where coming off of the A low, you got 786 at 50,181. We still haven't even hit that yet. And so are we going to hit it? I don't know. But I'm just sharing this for all you to know that would be completely normal type of check back between a 1-2 type of move. Okay, that's all. All right. And well, last thing on this, you know, this megaphone pattern we're seeing a lot of, they aren't always very clean. I mean, you could Google megaphone chart stock patterns. They're not always that reliable either. And so you see, you know, you'll probably see variations of this where, yeah, you want a nice clean retest and then go, but you'll also see, you know, like little failures in here and then they go. And so, you know, I'm not paying too much attention to these lines. I just think it's kind of more interesting than anything. What I care most about is in the context of this is this formation right here. This formation broke out of this 4. And so last chart to just kind of speculate on the low time frame. I posted this one a few days ago. This is my one of my favorite concepts, right? And it really goes hand in hand with what I'm trying to speculate on with these Elliott wave counts on lower time frames, is these Wyckoff reaccumulation phases as it moves through expansion. What that means is essentially, you know, accumulation, right, is just a range, some highs, some lows get taken out. And then we leave that range and then you're in expansion, but then you have these little consolidations above along the way. And those consolidations, according to Wyckoff principles, are viewed at as reaccumulation of an asset by investors. And, you know, the weak hands get shaken out, strong hands come back in. I think I saw something crazy yesterday. Someone bought a $1.6 billion worth, one wallet, $1.6 billion worth of Bitcoin at 51K or whatever the price was. That's a classic example. Reaccumulation, you know, big players come in, still are entering the market. And so what I originally posted this and was wrong, right? For those of you that follow me closely on X, where did I have this? I originally kind of had this as the spring, you know, tests. No. Where did I have the spring? Let's see. Yeah, no. I think it was. Yep, that's where I kind of had the spring, and was hoping to see a nice reaction there. That didn't happen. And so where we are now, you know, could this be the spring, right? Where you've got, and again, one thing is for certain is that Bitcoin prior to making big moves always looks the shittiest. Always looks awful. And for those of you that have been following me for a while know that I have a history of posting similar setups prior to expansion where the price action doesn't look good. And that's one of the hallmarks of what these Wyckoff reaccumulations are intended to do, right? Whether you get a spring or not depends on market dynamics and leverage in the system and weak hands versus strong hands, but you don't always get a spring. But essentially, if we're looking at this Wyckoff, this looks the worst towards prior to its move out of it, right? That's the principle. It doesn't look great. It's not looking like, oh, this is looking like it's going to send, right? Full send right now. That's not what it looks like. And the feeling that it's supposed to exude on market participants is that this is going lower. This is going lower. And this range was a distribution. And so again, will this spring hold, or do we still have more downside to go? Like I was just kind of sharing with the Fibonacci 2 retracement, common retracement levels. I don't know. We're gonna watch. We're gonna find out together. I have no idea. Just notice a similarity in these structures. Bitcoin loves Wyckoff, and we see it a lot. And so that's that. Next, we're going to move on to the miners, CLSK Clean Spark. All right. So Clean Spark is right now, in my opinion, has the most momentum, is the strongest looking of all of the miners. Currently I don't own any Clean Spark. Okay, just a disclosure there. But it's undoubtable that it has the most relative strength, and it's a lot like an NVIDIA during inflection points in the market where people are trying to figure out which way the market's going or what's the trend. Well, I always look at the strongest name to give me the most clues into what I think the trend is. And right now I've got a daily chart up of Clean Spark, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and we're going to note a couple of important things that are occurring here. And right now, I believe this is maybe the only Bitcoin miner that I'm closely tracking that breached its January high, right? We've got this higher high, previous higher high, higher low. Right now, that's potentially another higher low. Will it hold? We're going to find out. I don't know. But what I like seeing is this, right? That's the break in market structure. That's the break in market structure. Not to say that it can't, not to say that this might not be A, B, C prior to moving up. We're going to find out. But for right now, this is a very, very strong trend, and one could expect, I mean, we've got, let's just take a look at this another way. So coming out of this correction, A, B, C, we had a minor 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And so right now, the way I'm looking at this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I think this makes one. And let me get rid of that, actually. Let me get rid of. All right. And so what I want to show you is this. Coming off this 1 to 2. Let's just take a look at how powerful these rallies are. And let me get rid of that. Let me get rid of that so it's a little bit clearer. All right. So coming off of this minor 1, 2 fib from the origin of this impulse, this 3, I mean, you're at the 3,618. This 5 extension was past the 4,618. And so that's pretty powerful move right there, right? And so if we look at and my considering this area here, this 1 coming back to 2, origin of impulse. I mean, the 3618, 4618, 2618 extensions could have this thing moving pretty substantial. So this is what I like to see, right? This is what I like to see, the strong miner leading the way. Now, if I go to Mara, did it again. A little chart reset. But if I go to Mara, and let's go to the daily. All right. If we go to Mara, we'll see that it didn't make that technical higher high, right? So this is a daily chart. And this was the area. This was the area that Clean Spark, right, got over, but Mara stopped right there. Now, the lens at which I'm looking at this through is kind of Clean Spark has been leading the way. From a technical perspective, if I look at this chart, right, we had a subwave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I think we're doing the same thing here, right? Where we've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, potential 5 wave move developing. Is 2 done here? I don't know. I mean, it's resting on top of the cloud. Surely, if Bitcoin corrects further, then you certainly could expect some more downside. I mean, there's a gap here to fill at 2152. That could kind of correspond with a little what type of flag type of formation that I've drawn. This could be the AB, and then C down fills the gap, maybe a little bit lower prior to moving up. I don't know. We're going to find out. But what I do like is the behavior so far, right? We're consolidating above. We're consolidating above in this kind of wedge-like formation, much like we did consolidation above this flagging. This was a big correction, right? How long that one went. Remember that? Back in October, the miners were dead. And then broke out of it, consolidation 2, and then impulse. And so as we get further along, and let me zoom out here, same concept as with Bitcoin. As we get further along in these moves, one would expect the corrections to be shallower in degree and in time, so in both manners. And so as we see here, this correction was about 1/3 in time as this correction. And so this correction, this one is about, half is this correction. But the concept here is, right, we're moving up, we're moving up more aggressive in less time, and so either way, I think the biggest move in terms of price action and the amount of time is in front of us with these miners, and I would not be surprised to see, Mara's next move. I mean, even if this is like, just from a technical perspective, we've got just a little bit of a kind of inverse head and shoulders action local, right? And so just a break of the local these technical levels get us to 60, 65. It's kind of where I've got this 3. And that can happen very quickly, in my opinion. So the next several weeks, I think, are going to be very, very exciting for the Bitcoin miners. Next, let's look at This is Mara Bitcoin. Mara divided or denominated in Bitcoin. And this chart is really interesting. This is a weekly chart. And we've got this kind of like massive flagging type of structure, just massive flagging, accumulation. And what happens here, I think, is critical, right? Because we have a series of lower highs, lower lows. Then what do we have here for the first time? Higher low. What do we have here for the first time? Higher high. So we've got a break in market structure. Now, we're consolidating. We're just kind of consolidating here at the top end of this flag, which is really just a beautiful technical setup. They're not always obvious. Everybody wants oh yeah, boom, retest and go. But so often they're not obvious, right? You get just a little bit of a negotiation around this flagging area and then a breakout. And so if I look at the daily, here's another reason why I feel like there's a good chance that the correction, I really do think that the correction in these miners is over. I really do. I think again, it's predicated on Bitcoin, but I think that the probability for me is just this correction is over. I've got the daily chart up, and this is again Mara divided by Bitcoin, and we see some pretty clear patterns in my mind, right? We're coming out of this death spiral in July all the way down into November, finally bottomed, and you've got your move 1, 2, kind of 3, 4, and then this 5, and then this nasty A, B, C type correction that took us into the first half of January. And so where are we now? Well, coming out of that correction in January, we've got, again, a 1, 2, and then what could be this 3, 4, kind of consolidating, falling wedge, maybe a little breakout. And right now, just kind of breaking out, flagging under the cloud on the daily. And so the key market structure for me here is, let me visualize it. Let me help visualize it better this way. Here's the key daily market structure, right? This was the bottom. And for those of you that have been following me for a while, no, I kind of subscribe to Stan Weinstein's trend analysis, downtrend, basing, breakout. And so this is kind of a mini view of that, right? So you've got a downtrend, okay? Then you've got basing sideways, and then you've got a breakout of this basing structure, all right? And then you get a check back that basing structure. You got a reversal candle here, inverted hammer, check back, and then continuation potentially. And so this structure is what gives me the most, it's funny to put it this way. This structure gives me the most confidence that a potential bottom in the miners was made a couple days ago. And that's why I posted that on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. And even if Bitcoin goes down a little bit more, Mara may not breach its lows, its local lows. It may not. I mean, where's the evidence of that? Well, that already kind of happened yesterday, right? Let's look at let's zoom in on. Let's just look at an hourly chart. Okay, so this is an hourly chart, and Bitcoin, I believe, reached its lows yesterday, but Mara held, right? And so the lows on Mara were Thursday morning. Bitcoin challenged them again yesterday, but we see what's going on here. Again, and this isn't like oh, this is 100% reliable because Kush is showing us these great little triangles and it held a triangle. No, this is low time frame. This is just when I'm looking for slight clues to the market, that this is what I'm looking for. And so nothing is guaranteed, but these lows held and at a kind of a critical structure within this consolidation structure. And so that's it. That's kind of my view on that. What's next? I think next is Mara compared to CleanSpark, because I get a lot of questions, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that are thinking, man, am I in the wrong miner? Or what's better, Mara versus CleanSpark? And I don't know. I don't know the technicals behind which company is better. And I'm not making any rash decisions based on anything that's happening in the short term. What I'm going to do right now is to provide you with just a way to look at it differently. I got a weekly chart, and this is Mara divided by CleanSpark. I'm going to put line up because I think line is the clearest way to kind of look at this, and I'm going to really zoom out on this technical setup, going back a ways, okay? And let me just be clear on this, that this doesn't give me any answer. This doesn't give me any answers to, oh, look at, Mara looks like it's bottoming against CleanSpark here. Right? We've got kind of 1, 2 touches, triple bottom, and it's going to go. I'm going to convert all my CleanSpark tomorrow. No, could go the other way, right? This kind of important zone, supply when it was down here, demand up here, is how I'm kind of interpreting potentially what the market tells me. And so if we break and kind of get, then my assumption is this is the next zone, and CleanSpark's going to outperform Mara. Right? So this is the way I'm looking at this. Now, if we get a decisive bounce here, then the lens at which I have to look at this first is, could it just be a counter trend move making a lower high prior to kind of coming down, right? And maybe something like that. So maybe you get some short-term outperformance in Mara in the context of just a counter trend rally against CleanSpark. Hope I'm making that clear. And then let me use this instead. And so something like that, right? And I'm doing this so you guys can build these charts yourself, hopefully. And so, right, one possibility is a little counter trend rally into April, something like that. Other is counter trend rally and then new market structure, right? We break that lower high and range highs, right? And then you see what happens around here. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I just know at this point I'd be very cautious about making any judgments either way. Because we're at an area where a judgment hasn't been made. We're simply at a support zone, and so that's it. That's all I wanted to share with you. Last is MicroStrategy. Otherwise known as Mara BTC. Let's go to MicroStrategy. Thank you very much. I'm going to put this one up in line chart because I think that's the cleanest interpretation right now of this chart. We're going to throw up the weekly. And again, much like CleanSpark is showing us, this is a very, very strong technical setup. Very, very strong technical setup. Why do I say that? Well, we breached the higher high back in late December. Breached that. Weekly higher high of 639. We're currently sitting at 683. And so do we get more of a pullback prior to resumption? I don't know. We're gonna find out. But we are in the midst of, in my opinion, of the most powerful portion, going back to everything: Bitcoin, miners, the most powerful portion of this rally where potential exponential gains will happen in the most compressed amount of time. And I can't express this, which is what I'm going to leave you with. The last thing I'm going to leave you with today is I am not in the camp that this is the start of something that's going to continue into late 2024 or late 2025. And I see a lot of folks that are posting about the miners and hold till next year. And that all depends on what happens from in the next couple months, folks. In my opinion, if we get some of these major impulses, I guarantee you're going to be hearing, like, let's say MAR gets to $120 within a couple months. You're going to be hearing $300, $400, $500 MARA. MicroStrategy, let's say, gets to previous all-time high, or even gets to, you know, $1,400, $1,500. We're going to be hearing it's going to be added to the S&P, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. Here we come. And so these are the times to start having a plan, because the lens at which you have to look at these things is this time is not different. This time is not different as much as it's going to feel different. And we may all feel like genius investors. This is the last time we had what appears to be a very similar structure. Okay. And how long did it take to get back to these levels? Well, this is January 2021. And so we're February 2024. Okay, February 2024. And this is in the context of what I believe is the same bull cycle. So what if we started a secular bear cycle? You know, you got to think about this. If we get this type of move in these assets very, very quickly, we need to think through the lens of, you know, maybe it's not 2, 3, 4 years, maybe it's 10 years. You know, don't let, there's going to be a lot of euphoria, in my opinion, going on, and you're going to start hearing a change in my tone and some of the things that I chart. But I just want you to know why, because the lens at which I'm looking at this from is a little bit unique, a little bit different, and things are starting. Early stage parabolas are appearing, late stage parabolas are appearing in NVIDIA, SMCI. And that's not to say that NVIDIA is topped out, right? I could see NVIDIA doubling from here in the next 6 months. I could see it going to $1,200. I have no idea. I could see it topping out, you know, 800. You get a correction down to 600, 700, and then it doubles in 3 months. But this is late stage, in my opinion. What's late stage movement looks like. It's very, very too early too premature to call any type of tops and things, because we're just getting started in what I believe is the exponential rally portion of the cycle. So with that, have a great weekend. Sorry again if this was a little bit long. I know some of you like it, and I appreciate that. Take care, and look forward to doing more of these.